Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to take a look at contrast paints or speed paints or express colour. As you're probably aware, these are like transparent paints that you put over a lighter primer. Now I've got the entire set of Citadel contrast paints, as you can see there. Now, why have I bought contrast paints instead of speed paints or express colour? Well, for the simple reason Citadel brought their version out first. But everything I'm going to tell you in this video can probably be applied to your speed paints from Army Painter or your express colour from Vallejo. Now, when they first marketed contrast, they were aimed at beginners. Now, I would argue that these aren't beginners paints. For the simple fact you need a lot of brush control. So my advice to you beginners is, if you're thinking to start of moving on from your basic opaque paints onto contrast, use them the same way as you would normal opaque paints. Don't slop on a load like Citadel advise you to do. Use them as normal paints. Plenty of brush control, because you'll get a far better result. Again, I would say not to use them if you're a complete beginner, but maybe consider them once you've learnt how to use your basic opaque paints first. You know, lay down a nice primer, base coat over the top, bit of shading, bit of highlighting, because the same techniques I think apply best when you're using contrast paints as well. Now, what I've found with contrast paints is this, your contrast medium. This is the most important paint that you get with any transparent paint. Again, I'm guessing the situation would be the same whether you're using Citadel contrast, Army Painter speed paints, or Vallejo Express. It's just the medium without any pigment in. Because what I've found is, particularly with the darker colours, I'm going to show you 3 examples here. Now, if you look on these, you might not be able to pick it up so much on the camera, but both of these, the brown areas, whether it will show up on camera or not is another matter, but both of the bark areas on the spikes, spike revenants and the other revenants, both the barks there were painted using wildwood, which is a dark brown Citadel contrast. Now, what I've done with this one is I've used pure wildwood without any contrast medium mixed in. Whereas this fella, I've gone half and half with wildwood and contrast medium, and it's a lot lighter. So depending on what paint you use, you can change the colour. Both of those were done using wildwood, but the one on the left there has more contrast medium. The one on the right actually doesn't have any contrast medium, the brown areas. And the same thing applies to any colour using your contrast medium. So we'll go move on to my Arch Revenant again, using the contrast medium on the wildwood for the bark. Again, produces a lighter colour, a lighter base colour. So when you do get them, experiment, because basically with the contrast medium you can produce different colours using the same base colour, if you know what I mean. The same thing is true again on the wings. These wings, I started off with a pure turquoise, and then I mixed in a little bit of contrast medium. As the further down the wings I went, until at the end here where we've moved from turquoise onto ethermatic blue. But again, depending on how much contrast you use, you can change the shade slightly. And again, I think it's brought up a pretty good glowy effect. I mean, if you look at his face and his weapon and his shield there, that's ethermatic blue mixed with a hell of a lot of contrast medium, so it stays white on the lighter areas and shades the darker. So if you're going to use it, experiment with the medium. You can get far more different shades than just your basic paints using it. So again, I'll show you this fella, my Ogroid Thaumaturge for my war cry. If you look on the smoke from his staff there, again, started off with just turquoise, mixing in more contrast medium to the turquoise, onto ethermatic blue, and then ethermatic blue with contrast medium mixed in. It gives that light to dark shade as we go. And again, the glowy effects on his back done with a thin down mix of ethermatic blue. And his actual skin tone there started off with Leviathan blue and then mixed in more Leviathan blue with contrast medium just for the highlights. And the same on his chest as well, but that was I believe it was Space Wolves Grey or Administratum Grey, I can't actually remember. But again, he was painted just using contrast paints. The bone, obviously, again, using the skeleton horde, but in the darker areas, using less of the medium. And more of the medium on the lighter areas. And it got me to thinking, can I use contrast medium on normal paints? Well, for a long time, I've wanted to paint some US Rangers from World War II. So, I got myself a box of the US Rangers from Warlord Games for Bolt Action. Now, I haven't never played Bolt Action, but it's a game I am probably going to start at some point. But I wanted to see if I could use normal paints, but mixing in normal opaque paints, but mixing in the contrast medium to achieve a contrast type of result. And I think it's worked really well, because what I've done here is I've used, let me just get those out of the way. These are the Saving Private Ryan ones as well, so I've got those heads on these ones. If you're into Bolt Action, you know what I'm on about. Saving Private, the do heads for the characters from Saving Private Ryan. So we have Tom Hanks himself here. There he is. That's Tom Hanks from Saving Private Ryan. And actually, it does look like him quite a bit. If I can get it to focus, never mind. So what I did was, I've got lots of sets of Flames of War paint. The US paint set. And I thought to myself, why don't I try using contrast to achieve a similar effect, but mixing in the medium with normal opaque paints? And it worked. Now the thing with these is, you've got to use a very little amount of the opaque paints and mix in quite a lot of the medium. I've done one drop, because these Flames of War sets are actually Vallejo paints, but marketed for Flames of War, because I do play Flames of War as well. So I took the advice on the back of the box of all your colours that you get in this set, along with a couple of colours, gunmetal grey and beige brown, from the Quartermasters paint set from Flames of War. One tiny drop of this with a couple of brushfuls of the contrast medium, mix them together, and you do get, whether or not you'll be able to see this well, you do get the contrast effect. Now these have only been painted using this method of the US Army paint set mixed with a lot of contrast medium, and you can see the shading and highlighting on him perhaps, and it's worked. And over the top of that I just put my Marine Juice shade over him there, and as you can see, it seems to have worked really well, and it does look contrasty. And basically that's it. So again, different manufacturers mixed. I mean, if you're going to use your Vallejo paints, then perhaps get the Vallejo Express medium. But I say, I've used my Vallejo with the contrast medium from Citadel, and it's produced a really nice effect on my US Rangers for bolt action. I've ordered 3 Jeeps as well, because I bought the box set of the US Rangers, as you can see here. Well, I've got to change the colour on my bloody lamp now. There we go. So there we are. It's worked really well. I don't know whether we can see those there. But there we have our US Rangers painted using Vallejo model colours mixed with Citadel contrast medium. So there we go, guys. That's my advice. If you want to start using contrast paints, please go ahead. Contrast Express, Colour, Speed paints, they're all similar. And again, use your opaques, mix it with contrast medium, and you do get a contrast effect over the top. So you can turn basically any paint into a contrast paint. Again, experiment yourself, guys, and see what you can come up with. Again, my only real complaint with the Citadel ones is A, they're more expensive, and B, the ridiculous pots that Games Workshop insist on using. I wish they'd moved to dropper bottles, and a lot of gamers that I watch on YouTube would wish the same thing. But there we go, guys. That's my advice using Citadel Contrast, Army Painter Speed, or Vallejo Express Colours. Have a go. Give them a good mix with a medium, and you can achieve different shades and effects for the same paint. And again, using a thinning medium with normal opaque paints, providing you use not so much opaque paint and enough contrast medium, you will get the same effect as a contrast paint, but from your basic opaques. And I think that these ranges from Warlord turn out really well. So thanks for watching, guys. That's my views on contrast for now. Yeah, that's about it for this one. So once again, guys, please like, comment, subscribe and share. Channel's been going nearly a year now, and I'm almost up to 100 subs. So things are going well. So if you can let your friends know, I really want to get as many subscribers as possible, so I can start monetizing the channel. And obviously, once I start monetizing things, I can get more things for the channel to make better videos for you all. Again, thank you very much for listening, and we will catch you in the next one.